Levantaré mi bandera, estando en mi país o estando allá afuera, porque para mí, mira, no existen fronteras. Yo levantaré mi bandera, wow. Levantaré mi bandera, estando en mi país o estando allá afuera, porque para mí, mira, no existen fronteras. No, no.
All right, everybody, welcome. We are back with our Meet the Garcia series brought to you by Wafi Media. I am your host, Rafael, aka the Latin Babbler, host of the Latin Babbler Show. And we welcome back our series, our host, Brenda Nicole Pena, who missed out on the last one, but she's back for some action. Our guest today, after we have spoken to all the Garcia kids, it's time now that we speak to the other half of the actual family members and the parents. And so, lo and behold, we have Elsha Kim, who plays Yunjin Huh Garcia, and Nitzia, is it Chama?
Chama.
Or Chama. There we go. I'm going to say Chama because we were sitting there debating that before. So there you go. So, and Nitzia Chama, who plays Anna Garcia. So how are you guys doing? Welcome to Wafi Media.
Doing great. So good to be in here.
Yes, thank you so much for having us here with this amazing music.
Right. People love it. People love the
really
intro.
good.
The intro is our kind of like our way to the world. So I have a question because I know that with every single show that happens, we always have the funny interviewing and auditioning process that takes place to that, and everybody has a unique experience as to how that actually took place. So what was the audition process for you guys? I'll start with Elsha.
It was really quick, surprisingly, and just fast turnaround. They gave us options to pick scenes, and like as an actor, you're like, what scene will really pop and like show my range, you know? But it was so hard, and it was also kind of like difficult to know exactly what was happening because the scenes were really short. But it's just so much fun. The writing was amazing. And I mean, you saw also the surprise. Are we talking about the surprises?
I'm not talking about the surprises. I don't know what surprises you guys got.
When they told us on set on tape that we had got the role, that was just like totally new and really, it was awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a surprise. It's just like the way they got us, like the good news about the role. In my case, I auditioned for Ana, who is from Mexico. I am from Mexico 100%. So I always, got these kind of comments like, you have to get rid of the accent because if not, you're not going to get any roles in America, blah, 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 blah. So when I got the audition, I didn't even know about the Garcias back in the days because I grew up in Mexico, in Veracruz, which is in the southeast, next to the Gulf of Mexico. You are more than welcome to visit, guys. And when I did my research, I was like, oh my God, like this is a show that had 5 seasons 20 years ago. So I love it because actually my character is from Mexico. She speaks Spanish and it was just like me. I was like, no, this is like too good to be true, right? And then I like read all the breakdown, like you guys have to move to Mexico for 3 months. You're going to be living in Cancun if you get the role. And I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Let me do it again, right? And then what happened is that I have a very funny scene with Bobby, which is my husband in the series. And then when I got the callback, I was reading it like from the computer because we did it through like during pandemic. So we did the callback through Zoom. And I was super nervous because they just sent me like a new scene and I got super lost with the lines and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna ruin it. I can believe it. I was super in a lot. And then Bobby, the actor, said like, okay, you're going to be really busy working on the Garcia, so blah, blah, blah. And I said like, I'm not seeing that line, like in the computer. I was like, where's that line?
That's funny.
And welcome! Like with Jeff, with the casting director, the creator, one of the producers. So I was super lost and I was, yay! Gracias! And they started singing Cielito Lindo. It was just like a thing. So that's why Elsha said that it was a surprise because it was through a Zoom session that they said, welcome to the show, guys.
Well, the way they told us, it was like, let's do this scene again. And then in the
Oh.
middle of it, they're like, welcome.
Oh, that's crazy. See, like the kids that told me that they auditioned, and I think it was on their second audition where they were told, hey, or their callback is when they were told that. Were you surprised how fast the turnaround was? Because auditions take forever sometimes. Like you can get a call back months later, depending on what the production is. So was that something that caught you guys off guard, like right off the bat? Like, because some people got phone calls and some people just got it like right then and there. And then I guess my biggest question is also, when did you find out that you were auditioning for the Garcias? Because I know how calls some of these work. They'll sit there and they'll say, hey, you're going in for, so-and-so movie, and they'll have like a code word. And then it's not until like after you start the audition process that you realize, oh, okay, this is what I'm actually auditioning for.
Yeah. I mean, Nitzia, do you want to start?
Well, actually, it was, as Elsha said, like pretty quick. When I got the audition, like maybe a week or 2 weeks after, I got the callback, and during the callback, they said, "Welcome to the show." So I knew like the good news before my agent and my managers. So I like, look, they said that I'm in the show. So they said like, no, don't say anything. So please do not even tell your family. Do not post anything. And I said like, they said that I'm part of the show, like end video, So it was pretty quick, like no more than 2 weeks. And like the crazy thing about it is that after they said, okay, welcome to the show, in my case, I had like a week to get ready and like to pack my stuff and go to Mexico, like to leave to Mexico for 3 months. So it was just like crazy. Like I was packing and okay, I'm moving, like from LA to Mexico for 3 months. So it was just crazy. For you,
Rafael, the way you said it, like it was really fast, because I've had callbacks a year later. And so when it was like I mean, like, so the fact that like, and like Nitzia was saying, when you saw the breakdown, it was like living in Puerto Aventuras for 3 months, and like it was just like, okay, like I'll believe it when I'm down there, And then like on HBO, which is like such an amazing network, and it was like everything just felt so mysterious up until, and it like was happening so fast that it didn't feel real, Like it's just, I feel like such a an anomaly where in TV where things move fast, where you get to go onto this beautiful location and the people are amazing. Like when they told us in person, it's because they wanted to have that like just warm like
personal
explosion
experience.
Inside. Yeah. And then afterwards, when everyone comes on, is like, welcome to the family. I'm like, wow, this is really like not just hiring a role for a character. So it really was so fast and like so mysterious. And then when we were on the beach, we're like, oh, this is real. Like they weren't just saying that.
Like, me.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And Nitzia especially, I could only imagine how hard it was to keep that secret. So kudos. But to pivot a little bit, each one of y'all come from different backgrounds professionally, especially diving into some of your backgrounds. I mean, y'all have such big hearts. Y'all have a background of humanitarianism. Excuse me, I can't talk. Humanitarianism, entrepreneurship. I know that y'all have y'all side businesses and organizations. Nitzia, you've hosted for Univision.
Yes.
And I mean, not only have y'all studied acting, but also have fallen in love with it. And I wanted to ask, what was it like to transition into your role, into your character in the Garcias, and any similarities that you would say?
Oh, I mean, definitely. It was, and it has been the biggest blessing in my life, in my personal and professional life, because I've been working on television for maybe 7 years already for Univision. So I was pretty close to our community. I am an immigrant, so I can relate to all the stories. And people always ask me like, oh, so you're an actress? So tell me about like how many shows you have done and how many these and movies, blah, 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 blah. So since my community, right, and like the audience for Univision and for Latinos, they used to like see me on television. It was just like normal to call me, oh, she's a TV host, so she's not an actress, because they don't see your auditions. And
Yeah.
it's not like, hi world, hello, I just sent an audition here, so I'm an actress. So they call you an actress when you are in a show, but they have no idea how much struggle, how many like no's you have received, how much you struggle to get a callback. Not even the callback, just the audition, you know. So for me, I was working full time with Univision for Despierta America. That it's a show that I really love. It's like Good Morning America. It's a morning show for Latinos. And when I got the role, I was like, so I have to tell them that I'm leaving, and I don't know if I'm gonna come back or not, you know.
Yeah.
So when I wrote the email like, hey, I'm really grateful for like all these years, blah blah blah, I don't know what's gonna happen with my life after the Garcias, but thank you so much. They said like, Nitzia, go, God bless you, we are here, we're your community. Because I have interviewed so many actors, like I have gone like to so many junkets, and I've been like in the other side, you know, the chair.
Yes.
So now it was like kind of my turn, just like to be the actress. And they were like, okay, but please don't forget that you have to come to the studio and tell us about the experience with HBO Max and with the Garcias. And I did it. I just went to Miami like 3 weeks ago to the studio, and it was just wonderful, just like to see my transition, you know, like as first of all as an immigrant, as a dreamer, as a TV host, and then I became an actress with the Garcias. So it's been a whole journey, but it's been amazing, and like I'm so blessed and grateful for the opportunity.
Oh my, that's just a full circle. Oh, I love it. And Elsha, what about you?
So, I mean, Nitzia, like what you say about the journey to get even one job, you know, like it takes hundreds of auditions, hundreds of no's just to get a yes. So that's such a huge win. And I've really been like full time going into acting like a couple years now, where it's like, I'm like, this is my job now, you know, like auditions are my top priority. So like transitioning into the character and like from my own personal experiences, entrepreneurship, and just it, like how it works is that for me, like when I first saw the character, I was kind of like, oh, she's Zen. And the two-dimensional idea is that she's kind of soft because she's Zen and like calm and whatnot. But I feel like what I had to realize is like I personally also identify as like I feel like a very mindful spiritual person, and also I love yoga, but apart from that, I love yoga wear. Comfortable clothes.
Same.
I realize that a lot of like really Zen people are still very strong, and even in the second episode where it's like she has her routine, you know, so it made me like view her differently and realize that like a lot of our hard experiences in life cause us to reevaluate and like be in control of our circumstances rather than our circumstances affecting us. So I guess that was kind of like, I kind of felt like I can take everything that I've worked on. I can take all this struggle and hardship to become like in control of my being, I guess, if that sounds so woo-woo, but that's kind of how I like developed Yunjin to like really give her like that strength and not just be like oh, like I love you, yoga, you know,
just
like
floating.
Yeah.
Floating
through it.
Yeah, right. I mean, the worst thing about it is I can't fit in yoga clothes, so I'm gonna have to just wear sweats. And
you're just not getting the right ones.
I don't know. Well, you know what? One day we'll go shopping, and then you can sit there and show me. Okay, this is the one you gotta get to. There you go. I do have a question, because you guys were talking about, like we said, the process is long. I mean, what got you guys into acting? Like, what made you go, you know what? This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Because I know some of you guys have had like different journeys, and a lot of actors for the same reason, always because of, you know, we'll talk about this later, we're kind of pushed one direction, and then this is the way we find our, our passion, so to speak. So I'm gonna start with Nitzia. How did it start for you?
He's like, Nitzia's ready. I'm like,
she was making signs, like she was over. She's like,
well, I used to be a ballerina, a professional ballerina.
Really?
And I started this when I was like maybe 5 years old. So my mom used to take me like to my ballet classes and like theater classes and acting and all this stuff. So I used to travel a lot because of the dancing. And I love to be on stage. I love the feeling of the audience. And I was just a performer for my family, like for free, actually. So I was always the one who was, like singing and dancing and talking. And I love poetry. So I was always like reading my poems, like, and yes, my grandpa has like a great influence in my life because he was a poet. So he taught me a lot about like the arts, and I didn't like think about like, oh, I'm gonna be an actress like consciously, because I didn't even have like somebody maybe like in my family like an actor, musician or something. But when I was maybe like 13, 14, I started with plays, and I was always like excited about the plays and about like being on stage and being performing. And then I actually went to the university in Mexico. I studied business administration. I became a teacher. And then when I was 21, I said, okay, what if I go to LA? Because my grandparents from my mom's side live here in Los Angeles. So I came to LA, and then I went to Stella Adler, the Academy of Acting. And then boom, I was like, yeah, this is it. They have music, dancing, theater. So I found like all of the things that I like, and boom, like the rest is history.
Oh, very cool. And Stella Adler, they have one in New York too. I know that they have.
Yeah, and the teachers used to say like, oh, that was the seat where Salma Hayek used to sit. Okay, I'm gonna be there. So, oh yeah, Marlon Brando did this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, a lot of like A-listers.
Yeah, they're good. They're good conservatories. I mean, it's amazing. Stella Adler has a good method, so it's really good.
So everything is about imagination.
Yes.
So I imagine about the Garcias, but you know what? I'm gonna say it. It's okay. One of my teachers from my acting school, I'm not gonna say his name, but the class.
But you know who you are.
Class. but he said, okay, you have to get the American accent, because if not, you're never gonna work in Hollywood. So guess what? I'm working at the Garcias, representing the Latinos and the families and the minorities, and not only Latinos. This is just about human beings. Yes. And that's the great thing about the show. We are not wearing any like label, any stereotype. So I'm working with an accent. Woo!
And the cool thing is we have them now on a call. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? If you remember that one time in class, well, eat it, man. Eat it. Elsha, what about you?
I didn't say anything. I didn't say the name. I just said.
Oh, we'll find out who it is.
No, I'm gonna go find it.
This is the TMZ era. Come on, man. You know what's gonna happen.
Okay, Elsie, let's go with you. Go about Elsie.
How did I get started in acting? Gosh, these stories are so interesting. So I actually never like thought or knew I wanted to be an actor. I was terrified of any like public performance stuff. My friends were all in musical theater. The men in my family are musicians. Wow. And it was after my last year of college, I was taking an abroad, like a business class in Paris, and I took my first theater class there, just like an elective. And I was like, this is fun. Never thought about it again. I came back to LA, working as a telemarketer for like capital stuff, like 40% APR interest rates. And I was just like so miserable, like it was terrible. I was not a nice person then because so unhappy. And I was like, man, like, what do I do with my life? And this was after college. And the last thing I really enjoyed doing, I feel like when you're in those places where you're so down, you're kind of like, what do I enjoy doing? The last thing I could remember was that theater class. And I was like, well, I'm in LA. I mean, why not? And I didn't even know where to start. I'm like, are there classes? Do I just look up acting class online. I was so like, nobody in my family has done acting, you know? And I went on backstage, got a manager pretty quickly. And then I actually got the job for like one of the first auditions I went on for Ray Donovan.
Oh, wow.
But I couldn't do it. Yeah, so I was like, oh, this is like a good start. Maybe this is somewhere to go towards. And then I had this job opportunity in Ireland that came up. So I just couldn't turn it down and I moved away. And I just like kind of always had it in the back of my mind, but never really did anything. And then a few years later, I moved back and I took a receptionist job at a management company. Just a friend was working there. And this was like a big company. I never thought they would ever take me on, you know? Like that was just not it. I just needed some money. And my mom's like, you should get out of the house.
Get out of the house. She's kicking you out. Can you go do something, please? Just get out.
I lived at home with my parents and I didn't have a job. And like, I lived in Claremont. And so she was like, you should be around younger people. And I was like, okay, fine. But they like after a while, they sent me on some auditions like quietly. And I helped them with their hosting job. And we were like it was like good momentum, you know, but always like good, but not good enough. And granted, I had not done any formal training, and I left the job, and I found myself working as a server at Pink Taco. If you guys know that taco place, getting paid like $9 an hour maybe, and I'm like, finally after like a couple months, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm too scared to make the financial investment to get training, but I am not committing myself to a career. I went to university, like I've traveled, I have enough to make a career. And I could totally tell my feet were like this, like not moving, you know, half in, half out. And after that point, I was like, it's time to pull the trigger, like pay for that super expensive class and go into training. So, like everything just worked out that right around that time. It's a blessing now, but my lease fell through with my roommates. So I had to move back home. And then right after the pandemic started, so I had a little extra money and I was paying for my classes, and that's when the 2-year really began.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I say that because my daughter's an actress, so we kind of went through like the whole training. She was at Penn State University. She was studying psychology, and it wasn't, you know, it was from there that I was like, you know, you don't seem like this is what you want to do. It looks like you enjoy really being on that stage. I'm like, if this is what you really want to do, and I took her to a play called If Then, which I think I can't remember who. Okay. No, in New York. And it's with person who played well, it's gonna go off my head. Adina Menzel, that's what it was. And the play itself was literally about the choices. You know, what happens, or you know, what could you assume that happened in this side, and what's the possibilities if you've done that side, and then you're kind of seeing both angles. And yes, she decided to kind of go for it, and she's really good at it. So it's like, you know, it's just kind of cool. I love the process, and I love hearing the different stories from the different actresses and actors, because it's kind of an amazing journey. And, you know, for some people it's really long, but it's extremely satisfying, you know, at the very end.
It takes courage, honestly, like to follow your dreams or like to do the thing that you want to do. It takes courage. So that's awesome that she is pursuing that. And that you're supporting.
Yeah, that's something that, you know, when we talk about representation, we're going to go right into that for the next spot. So, you know, the theme of the show is very much representation. I mean, from beginning to end. And when I speak to the cast and when I speak to Jeff, and, you know, the representation of diversity was the main thing that keeps popping up. So I really wanted to hear from both of you what your thoughts on what it's like to be a show that really champions diversity, because, you know, the cast isn't full Latino. It's bringing in inclusion. You know, you're I believe you're Korean, right? So we're it's kind of like bringing in the world the way it should be, and not segmenting it the way, you know, society and media wants it to be. So, you know, what are your thoughts on that when it comes to both the inclusion and the representation? Elsha, I'll start with you.
Well, the thing is, like, what the Garcias did 20 years ago, the brothers Garcia, they're just doing the same thing again now. Like, what they did then, have a full Latino cast, was new, right? It was like the first time that had happened on TV. And I'm not saying this is the first time that this has happened, but they're doing something new again, where it's not the representation, they're not repeating the same thing over. And if you look around families today, like, you see so many mixed families, you know, and it's telling these stories as they're just as real stories, authentic storytelling. So I feel like the fact that they have added new colors to the palette, it's the same type of representation that they were pursuing, that they accomplished.
That's a beautiful way of saying it, by the way.
It is.
Adding the different colors to the palette. That's
like,
really good.
I think it's like in the first
I'm going to use
really
it
good.
for my next interview.
Nitzia, what about you?
No, and you know what? It's so beautiful because representation means inclusion, diversity, and I think this is wonderful because I always said what Jeff said. Okay, guys, yes, this is a Latino show. You can say that because, like, most of the cast is Latino, the writers, directors, but this is not only for Latinos, this is for families.
Exactly.
So this is the wonderful and beautiful thing about the show. We are representing, portraying just human beings. So they're not calling me like la Latina, la Mexicana, la mesera, la inmigrante. They're calling me Ana, and Ana is just a person, and we're representing families who share values, who show love, empathy, and especially nowadays that we're facing a very dark situations, experiences, it's like the moment to just bring something positive, something like to make you laugh, to make you wondering, you like, oh, so it's just normal to see a mixed family. It's like LA. You see Koreans, Mexicans, Salvadorians, like it's normal, you know? So it's not like, oh my God, what do they have somebody with an accent? What do they have a Korean? It's just like, it's because it's normal. So we have to give and to tell that message that it's okay to look different, to sound different, and to embrace who you are. Because I always, like now, I think like this. Okay, if I speak two languages and if I have an accent in one of them, it's because I'm from somewhere else, and that's beautiful. So that's the way people can know, oh, she's from another country. How wonderful. Oh, she has an accent. Oh, it sounds differently. Yes, because that makes me me. That makes me unique. And it's okay. And maybe 7 years ago when I was attending an acting school, I was trying to sound like somebody else. And it's okay to take classes and to try to reduce your accent, but it's not okay to try to be someone else. I just want to be Nitzia from Mexico. And now I am Ana, representing someone who does exist and who represents somebody who sounds like me. And to tell them it is okay. It's nothing like bad about it, you know?
Absolutely.
So we just want to give that message.
It's 100% okay to be 100% who you are. And I love that. And from both of y'all.
Amen.
One thing that I really wanted to spotlight just a bit is the Garcias also spotlights a lot of heavy topics, if I can get into that, such as religious and cultural differences. Elsha, I think it was the first or second episode. I think it was the second episode about clashing about baptisms and making sure, you know, both, you know, getting along with your mother-in-law, but also really, you know, respecting and understanding each other's differences, all the way to how to manage a business and military life, all surrounding the importance of family. Were there any topics covered on the show that resonated with you personally? And I can start with Elsha.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the spiritual aspect of it, as a deeply devout person, my faith is really important to me. My timer's up. I totally resonated with that, and it was something that was totally opposite of my character, right? Because I wouldn't hesitate to baptize my child, like, so I had to find like why would she not want to do that? But just having the same conviction that I feel is in my day-to-day, and her having that conviction, because I totally get it. Like, yes, organized religion is very messy, and like so many people have been hurt, you know? So I was like, okay, that where she's coming from also makes sense. It was, and the thing is, like, we see it so much in real life where religion tears people apart. It's torn countries apart. Like wars have been started over it. And so I feel like the biggest thing was to reconcile those, because the whole true purpose of religion, right? What we study to start this, like a little fly, is love. Like love is the foundation. So that was really like the thing that tied it all together for me. And I feel like we found that in the show, where because we love each other, we compromise. Even though I don't fully agree, I love you. So like, let's this get between us. So yeah, it was definitely something I had to sit with and process through.
It definitely resonated with me a lot, especially I come from a multicultural family as well. So ultimately, that was really powerful. So thank you for sharing that. And Nitzia, what about you? Was there an element of the show that really resonated with you personally, specifically a topic?
Well, the thing about, my relationship with my husband, he's always claiming like about like he's Mexican or not, about if I'm American or not. So I think, and talking about religion, I grew up in Mexico, so we're very, like we grew up as Catholic, so it's like a very difficult topic to talk about it, especially with parents or grandparents. And I think that these episodes and like all the topics that we are approaching, at the end of the day, they are showing us that we have to respect and love each other no matter what. So it's about love, respect, and empathy, compassion. So we don't have to say like, oh, who is right or who is wrong, or how can we, like just like meet in the middle. For me, it's just like, how can I respect you in order to you like to get and receive respect. So I can relate like in like all the episodes, and that's a beautiful thing about the Garcias. I was talking to Jeff during our trip to New York, and I said like, at the end of the day, everyone is gonna relate, no matter how, no matter when. Somebody's gonna say like, oh, like my tia, oh, like my, I don't know, like my grandma, that she's like super religious, or my uncle who forgets about my cousin's birthday. So there's a chance, like every single member in your family is gonna say at some point, oh, just like my story.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful thing about the Garcias. We don't talk about just family, or just like in the cheesy way, like, oh, everything is perfect, we love each other, and we're gonna succeed, and we're millionaires. It's like we have to deal with
Everyday
problems,
problems.
with
Yeah.
different personalities, and it is okay just like to be different, but to respect the different perspective and point of view from the different characters. So it's all about respect and love. Todo para la familia.
Yeah, the love. I knew she was going to use the
Everything
slogan
about
right
it.
after that. It's just everybody
I love
does.
it.
Everybody does it. I wanted to touch on the personal side because, one of the things I was very eager as far as this interview is concerned is you guys are very passionate about, what you believe in and what you do. So I know for Nitzia, you have I think it's like a passion project. It's Inspirarte Latinos. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I totally believe in support others, and I love to write, and I love to listen to new stories. Working on Despierta America for Univision for so many years, of course, I get the chance to like meet so many people and to hear about different stories. So when I was not only on camera, but when I was writing my stories and producing them, I remember talking to my dad and said like, oh my God, I don't have story like a new story for next Monday. And he was like, just pay attention. Every single person has a story to tell. So if you're driving, I'm sure there's a person who is buying or who is selling flowers, or who like, just pay attention to the stories. Just be, like be open and talk to the people. And I'm always like that. I go to the supermarket and I like immediately start like talking to like the people like, oiga, cuénteme un poquito, you know?
I love
So
that.
I'm always getting stories.
I,
But it's just like, because that's my personality. So every single day I was like, hey, like talking to my like producer in Miami, like I met this person at a, you know, like a Super 8 or like somewhere else, at Target. And they have the most amazing story because they're sending his son to Harvard, and there's always something beautiful about the people who is in LA, because I always meet different backgrounds, different stories, different dreams. So I started my own show that it's called Inspirarte, to get inspired, where I basically portray different stories from Latinos, and I just like show like inspiration in different levels. So you don't have to be rich or famous or like the most amazing and I don't know, like musician to inspire others.
Agreed.
So yes, I have like famous or like Oscar winning like people that I have interviewed in my show. But for me, just like the same level, we all have the same chance to inspire others and to just, I don't know, like to give an example, you know, like to the younger community, to the younger generations. So I had so much fun doing it, because that fills my heart when I see the stories like, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
You know? And we have to tell those kind of stories, so we don't forget, like, where can we, I don't know, like our own stories. So when I tell their stories, I relate to my own story. And I think
so. Elsha, and you're huge into global mission work, and I mean, you and I have something in common in that, for instance, like we do a lot of stuff as far as like a ministry and so forth in the church. So for you, I think you run like the food distribution ministry, I believe, right? Is it in church?
Yeah, wait, that's so cool. I know, okay, we're being interviewed, but that's so cool, Raphael. We need to connect on that later. But yeah, it's for church. So yay! I love that we're talking about global mission. So yeah, it's just like so crazy to see how God works. Like one little yes, and he turns it into like this whole big thing. Basically what happened was, I'll just tell you like how the global mission even got started. I wanted to volunteer. So to go to Africa, I had to do like a training at a veterans hospital. And I don't know if you're familiar with Saddleback Church.
So I am familiar with Saddleback. I'm not an expert of Saddleback, but I know I actually, one of the speakers of Saddleback Church came and spoke at Shepherd Church here in
oh, what? Is that where you go?
That's where I go. Yes.
Cool.
So cool. Okay, yeah. So, I mean,
everybody's like, they're connecting at a whole new level we have no idea about.
I love this though.
Yeah, well, I feel like when you're really in the community, you know, and like Saddleback is a huge church, but when I came to LA, I was like, okay, like that going once a month to the veterans was easy enough, so I'll just do that with LA. And I reached out, and they didn't have a veterans ministry. I was like, what? LA's so big. How do you not have that?
Yeah.
So then, like, I kept probing, and then turns out they didn't even have like a local outreach ministry. So I like showed up to a meeting, and I thought it would be like 30 people. It was like literally 3 people, and I was the only one from LA. And the lady was like, oh, how about you like work on homelessness and global mission? And I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes, you know? But like just saying yes, and one thing leading to another. And 2 years later, like with, by no means, I'm just like one little cog in like a whole machine. But 2 years later, seeing that we were able to do bi-monthly food pantries through the whole pandemic.
Oh, that's so cool.
Saddleback Church. So cool. People risking their lives, like right away, almost like putting the mask on. And when there was wildfires, people getting out. And, you know, over the last couple of years, the church has over 10,000 volunteers served, over like almost 1 million pounds of food, like 250,000 families reached, all on volunteers. So it just, yeah, it's like my dad once said, there are things that are life taking, right? Sometimes you have to do things that take your energy. and then there are things that are life-giving. And
Yeah.
for me, like, I feel like sometimes you drag your feet, you don't want to go out. It's early, you could sleep in, but when you're done, you're like, yep, that was the best use of my time.
Wow.
So
That's another good
Pretty
way
cool.
of putting it. Well, you guys have good
I-
enders to some sentences.
Yo, I mean, like,
little
It's like if you're listening to this interview, you're not being inspired. I have no idea what's going on inside.
majorly
You know.
inspired. Oh my gosh, majorly.
But that's so cool because you guys, the interviewers, are also like on that same wavelength. I had no idea that you were involved in global mission.
So I'm not involved in the global aspect, but we do kind of do a nationwide thing every like season. What we do is it's called the Box of Love, and we actually take boxes and we have people decorate them for Thanksgiving. And a whole bunch of families will decorate these boxes, and then they will put food in them, including a turkey if we're able to get it. And then we take all of these different boxes, and then we go to low income housing, and then we hand them out to all of the families that are there. And so we did it. It started in LA, and now we have like friends who do it in New York and people who do it in Miami.
Oh,
And so,
wow.
yeah, so it's
Growing.
it's something that's my daughter is kind of like the spearhead of that, and it started when I was
Wow.
yeah. So it started when I was actually we were displaced, for the lack of a better term of that. And when I was able to finally get income, we used to actually create. I used to earn money, and then I created food vouchers, and then I would give them to families who were just in the same position as we were, as a way to kind of give back for what I had experienced, and I didn't want anybody else to kind of experience that during the holidays or anything like that. And so she took it to a whole new level because actors are dramatic, and so had to be colored. Boxes were amazing, and this and that. And it's a whole enterprise now. So very very cool. Yeah, we'll talk afterwards. It's very good.
This is
Amen. That has to be one of the episodes on the Garcia. That's
Oh, yeah.
the kind of
And-
stuff that we like to do, to inspire others, to show that if we work together, we can just like be a better community, better society, and we have to spread the word. So yeah.
Just tell Jeff that my IMDb is
I was
up
like,
there.
somebody-
I'll come in for
Let
a
me
show.
Somebody call Jeff.
Fefe,
What's going on? What's
Also,
going on?
you are hired, my friend. You both are hired.
No, well, this is, I mean, not only,
So
number
good.
one, super inspired. Number two, y'all are such role models, just in general. This is so powerful and such a game-changing conversation. And along the line of game changing, I wanted to ask, we've talked about how this show has such a rich diversity and culture and just positive representation, all the way to loving and respecting and owning who you are, and just the importance of family. What do you personally want people to take away from the Garcia show after they watch it? What would you want? What would you like them to take away? And Nitzia, I can start with you.
Wow. That was a good one.
Yeah, we ask good questions here.
I know. I just want them to feel proud and to feel that they have a place where to belong. Sometimes we feel like, oh, am I from here? Am I American? Am I Mexican? Am I Dominican? Like, I get lost. So it's just like, it's okay to feel different and unique. But guess what? There's a place for you, and there's people like you, and it's called the Garcias, and you are gonna feel relief after seeing people who can talk and sound just like you and look like you. I am brown, and I'm so proud, and I'm getting a new role because I was always cast with the same stereotypes. So we want just like to show that we can portray so many different aspects and so many different levels of Latinos. And it's okay. It's not like, oh, I don't want to be like a maid anymore in a film or something, because that's a very noble kind of work, and we respect that. But we want to show our kids that they have to envision themselves, and they have to say, oh, maybe I'm gonna be the next Anna, and I'm gonna have that kind of house, and I'm gonna have my vacations in Cancun. Why not?
Limit yourself.
You don't have just like to limit themselves. Yeah, so we don't have to give them limitations. We want to give them expectations and dreams and goals in life. So it is possible. And I always say, if I came to this country as an immigrant, not speaking English, like super, like I was terrified in my acting classes, and I did it, and I just did this show, and I'm sure it's like I have like so much to do in not only in acting, but if I did it, you guys can do it 10 times better. So it is possible. It is possible.
Oh my gosh. Inspired. I know. Elsha, what about you?
Especially like 10 times better. I mean, it's so somewhat like Nitzia really hit it on the head. I think it's twofold, like for viewers who watch it, to leave. I love not limited. They don't leave with limitations, but with expectations, with inspiration. That, hey, I see myself on the screen, but also like the fact that this is a family show, that it doesn't always have to be about murder, the world ending,
big time. Yeah.
That stuff. Like it's great entertainment and it's wholesome. Like we can do that. I think that's the viewer side of it, and on the acting side of it, as an actor, I feel like it's in the same thing as what Nitzia was saying, was not having to betray your values, go things that go against, like, that you don't feel comfortable with. Because I always said, and this might be inappropriate, but HBO was my dream network. It's like I would love to be on there, and now I say series on HBO, and I didn't even have to take my top off. Because, like, HBO is covered in nudity and, like, all this stuff. And I feel like that was totally, again, like, not coincidence. But the fact that, like, it's okay to stand up for what you believe in. And if you work hard, like, your dreams can come true. Yeah. Like, the things that happen will, like, you can never expect what it will be, but you don't have to, like, betray yourself, right? And I feel like, especially as an actor, it's so important because it's a tough industry. People will totally try to take advantage of you. There's so many young people in it. So just that, I think, is important. And it's like what Nitzia was saying, like, you don't have to be someone else. You can be proud of who you are, and there is still a place for you. So, yeah.
Very awesome.
Oh
I love that because it's true. When it comes to the industry, there's a lot of young people going after that dream. And there's just very little guidance for those people who are going after that dream. So, so very awesome that, I mean, at least, if they're listening to this interview, this is great guidance for you guys to turn around and, like, pay attention to, because it is awesome to see a show that's very wholesome and family friendly for people to be able to, especially on HBO Max, which is, streams a lot of different products. So, all right, let's go round robin. I want to make sure everybody can go ahead and follow you guys. So, Elsha, go first. If people wanted to follow you, where would they go?
Oh, Elsh Babe. No A, ELSH BABE.
Very cool. Was that Instagram? Insta?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nitzia, what about you?
If you want to follow me, let's go to Mexico. Follow me.
Oh, I'm there.
Okay, it's super easy. Nitzia Chama, and I'm the only one on, like, under that handle. So Nitzia, NITZIA CHAMA, and on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Elsha is really good with TikTok. I'm not. I have to learn. Like, she's so good at it. TikToker, an influencer, TikToker, like so good. So,
that's right. I'm still trying to find my way too. It's a work in progress. So TikTok, if you've mastered TikTok, that's a whole new breed for you. I mean, that's amazing because TikTok is that's a very unique clientele of people. So there you go. Don't forget to follow this series. Make sure that you click on the link below to subscribe, and make sure you pay attention to all of the interviews that we've had for Meet the Garcias. Make sure to follow the series or the season ending that's taking place tomorrow night. And make sure that you follow our YouTube channel, follow on all social media channels at todowafi.com, And be sure to follow the Garcias on HBO Max streaming right now. You got to catch up to all the episodes, people. Stop, being lazy about this. So, as for Rafael, as for Brenda, as for Elsha, as for Nitzia, we are out.
Bye. Chao. Adiós. Hasta luego.
Desde Nicaragua hasta Costa Rica, con esta canción todo mundo se identifica. Llamen a los chilenos y a los cubanos, llamen a Puerto Rico y a los mexicanos, que ya se armó la rumba. Desde Panamá hasta Ecuador, vámonos a Perú y luego hasta Salvador. Que se escuche en Brasil y Argentina.